As usual, I start with a drawing with all the required dimensions. First, we'll need several strips of walnut and maple. I'll cut these on the bandsaw. Now over to the thickness sander to bring our strips to their final dimensions. I'll require 4 of 1 millimeter thickness and 3 of 2 millimeter thickness. These dimensions are critical. I'm using a piece of walnut that I previously sanded both sides as a sled to run all the strips through. Now that all the strips have been brought to their final dimensions, it's time to start gluing them up. To glue these very thin strips up, I use gluing cauls for alignment and to keep them nice and flat. I use plenty of spring clamps to make sure I get good pressure on the laminations. To ensure I have enough material for the 24 segments required for this ring, I'll need 15 feet or 5 meters of the lamination. So 3 more to go. Now that the glue is dried on the laminations, it's time to clean them up over on the drum sander. Because the strips are so narrow, I clamp them all together to run them through the sander. Now that we have our laminations, it's time to start cutting pieces. I do this at my miter saw. All of the cuts required for these segments have a 30-degree angle. So I've set my blade to 30 degrees and I have a stop block to ensure consistency and length of all the pieces. When cutting such small pieces, it's important to let the blade stop before lifting the saw. These pieces will be the ends of the segments. I'll cut them down the middle at the bandsaw later. Now that we have all our pieces cut, it's time to do a little test fit to make sure everything is going to line up the way we want. Now that everything looks like it's going to fit, it's time to apply some glue. This is tedious work, but necessary to achieve the end result. This is where the time and care we took cutting and preparing all those individual pieces of wood finally pays off. While dry fitting every individual segment, all the pieces are hand sanded to deburr, and adjustments are made to individual pieces to make a perfect fit. As you can see in this close-up, the alignment of the individual pieces of walnut and maple are just what we were looking for. Here I'm using a sled and the drum sander to flatten one face of all the segments we've just created. This will be the reference face when we start to cut the angles. This is a small sled I created for cutting the individual angles on all the segments. I've previously cut the left side of every segment off camera. Now I'm doing the right side and cutting them to length. As you can see here, I'm deburring the previously cut edge so it doesn't interfere when I put it up against the stop block. The reason I don't have the guard on my saw is because it interferes with sleds like this. Using clamps to hold the pieces in place keeps my hands well away from the blade. Time to test fit our segments to ensure they actually form a ring. This is the board I use for all my segmented rings. Helps me keep all the segments in line, and as you can see, I've got a strip of masking tape on it which will help hold the segments together until I can get some rubber bands on to clamp them. Rings of this size and number of segments can be quite unwieldy when you're trying to get rubber bands on if you don't have a means to hold them all in place. As you can see, the masking tape makes it very easy to roll all the segments into a ring. And there we have it. All the joints look good. The ring is ready for some glue, which I'll do off camera. Here's the finished ring, all ready to be flattened and assembled into our vessel. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like and share button. In the next video, I'll demonstrate how I make the floating base. Thanks for watching.